All right, we're ready to talk about troubleshooting and getting your flushes prepped for your IV push station. A lot of times students have a lot of questions and they overthink this. You know, back in the old days, we had to draw up our own flushes, and now they make flushes that are already pre-filled for you. And so when you're at the station, you're going to come up on a pre-filled syringe. Now, maybe it's 5 mLs, maybe it's 10 mLs. But what they're going to have you do is expel down to the number you need. Okay? So that means sometimes students will expel and they end up shooting out way too much. And then they're like, what do I do? It's like, throw it away in the sharps, get another one. Okay, but there's going to come a time where if you keep doing that, then you're going to get in trouble for wasting, because these things aren't cheap. Okay, usually they cost about $1 a piece. That's pretty expensive. You know, you can get a syringe a whole lot cheaper than that and fill it yourself. They're going to come with an air bubble already in it. So part of it is you're going to have to get rid of the waste that you don't need, but you got to get rid of that air bubble too. Now, there's a rubber tip at the end of this plunger. You cannot touch this inside plunger here. You can't touch that. That's considered a fail if you touch this. You touch the round dial at the bottom. But this rubber stopper, rubber will go expand, you know, contract, expand, contract, depending on the weather, the humidity, different things like that. And so your first push could shoot it crazy, way out, because you've got to prime this and get it unstuck. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this cap, and you're not going to throw it away. Set it down with the part that went on the tip. That goes up. So just set it down on the ground. I don't need this shown yet. I'll show it in a minute. Okay? Because we need the cap. Are you with me so far? Now I need to unstick the plunger. You can either pull back a little bit and hope you don't pull the plunger out and it spills all over you. Or if you'll just simply hold the round part and twist it, you'll feel it stick. Twist it to where it unsticks. I want you guys to do it with me, that you all have syringes. Twist it to where you see that it's now rocking back and forth. You got it? Okay. Most of the time they're going to assign you like a 1 ml flush. Well, we've got 10 mLs and then some air. So they'll have you expel over a wastebasket and not over your examiner. So if your examiner's over here, don't shoot in their direction, even though you may feel like it. Don't do it. Go over the wastebasket, okay? But at the same time, you don't want to be sitting there pushing up and then it's running all over your hands. So you kind of angle it and you're going to push it down. But you're going to push it down. If I need 1 ml, I'm going to push it down to 2. Because I still got to play with that air bubble. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to like quickly go down to that 1 ml. I'm going to do a little bit. I'm going to check it, do a little bit more, you know, so I don't waste. Okay? And then at an angle too, that air bubble is going to shift. So I need to get down to about 2 mLs and then figure out what I need to do next. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to squirt this down. I squirted it down to about 4 and I just keep checking just to see where I'm at. So I'm at the 2, and then when I look, I've got this massive air bubble at the top. Now what I see students do is pull out that trusty pen and beat the heck out of it. Well, when you're hitting it head on, all you're doing is rocking these air bubbles. You're not really getting the air bubbles out. You could actually be hitting it so hard that you create more because of the vibration of hitting it. And the whole purpose is to expel the air bubbles. So If you're going to tap it, I'd be very, very cautious on this. I don't like that. We were never taught that when I went to school because you could accidentally get nervous and hit the tip. Now you've contaminated. And if you think you can continue and you've contaminated, you've just failed. If they see that occur, you failed because it's contaminating. That tip of that pin, we don't know how clean it is. Are you with me? So I would not advise on it. But then students will say, but Sheri, when I hit it head on, it hurts my finger. It shouldn't hurt. Okay? So I'm going to show you a technique that I think works a little bit better. And we want the air bubble to shimmy up the syringe to get to the top. If you hit it at an angle upward instead of head on like that, hit it up to where your finger's just kind of brushing the side of it, and it just gives it a little bit of a shimmy motion. So just a brisk upward. Okay? So if you guys have got bubbles in your syringe that's not at the top, go ahead and just flick it from the side and make your bubble shimmy up to the top. And see if that works by just striking the side in an upward motion. Okay? Did that help? Did it hurt your fingers?
No.
No. So when students, when they're saying, my finger's hurting, well, you can do that. Eventually you'll get kind of calloused on your nail and it won't hurt anymore. But why put yourself through that pain? Just push it on the side and it gives it a nice little shimmy to the top without creating more bubbles. So a lot of times when you hear students say, man, I keep hitting it and more bubbles are appearing, they're probably hitting it straight on and hard. So upward motion, have it shimmy, and then all you got to do, I twist the bottom and push at the same time to get that air bubble out all the way. If I see that I have another bubble, I'm going to hold it up to the light. Champagne bubbles are okay. If you don't know what a champagne bubble is, basically the tip of a pen, if it's the size of the tip of an ink pen, you're probably okay. Okay? Champagne bubbles. If you don't drink champagne, you don't know what I'm talking about. But tip of the pen, bubbles that size. If they're bigger than that, you need to get rid of them. So if you notice you have more bubbles, you can do like that. If it doesn't work, if they're stuck to that black plunger, you can hit and hit and hit all day, and sometimes they're just holding on. It's kind of like when you take a balloon and scrub your head and stick it to the static electricity. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all ever do that as kids? I did. If it sticks to that plunger, another thing you could do is at this point, back the plunger down to where you've got a whole bunch of air and gently turn it sideways and let it kind of wash the bubble off of the plunger. And if you look and you're like, well, dang, it's still there. Okay, well, let's do it again. And let's see if we can get rid of it that way. And then shimmy it up and then twist it back up to the top. And as you see a bubble, try and get rid of it while you got air at the top so you're not wasting more fluid. Okay, so again, if you got an air bubble, if you hit upward, it shimmies instead of creating more bubbles. If you have bubbles stuck to the black plunger, pull down to where you got air at the top and rock it and try and wash it off of the black plunger. And then once you see that you've done that, then just double check and make sure that you get all your air out before you push the plunger up. And see, it looks like I'm spewing fluid. That's only the fluid that's caught up here. I've got a whole 2 cc's of space of air. So even though it looks like I'm flying out liquid, it's not. It's just what was trapped in the top. Okay? And then you gently hold the plunger at the bottom. Don't touch the inside of the plunger. And you simply push. You can push and twist at the same time. And then when you get the fluid, there is an inner chamber inside. So y'all look closely. You see there's this little insert. You got to push the fluid all the way to the top. So you want to push it to where you see a little bit of water at the top, all the way up. If you see students posting and they say, they put an air bubble in there. They took my syringe, they flicked it, and they put an air bubble. Yes, they did, but it's your fault, and I'll tell you why. If you leave air in that middle piece, if I back this down and I have air, just a little bit of air, and I turn it and I flick it, that air that was in that middle piece is now, you see it, Justin? See it in there? Because I didn't push the air all the way out, and fluid is more dense than air. So if you have fluid all the way up, air can't get in. They can turn it and flick it. It's not going to get in there if you didn't leave a gap. So when they're going to take it and they're going to rock it and they're going to flick it, and when they do, if you've not done your part to get the fluid all the way up in that chamber, then that's on you. Okay? So always make sure you push it to where you see fluid flush at the top. Okay? That's one of the biggest mistakes, is that air bubble. When the examiner, when it's time for them to verify your flushes and you hand it to them, once you hand it to them, it's a done deal. So I would hold it up to the light, I'd turn it different angles, and I would make sure there's no bubbles. I would even turn it upside down. I would tap it myself, because that's what they're going to do. Why not go ahead and do it to make sure nothing's occurring? Okay, because once you hand it over, if there's a bubble, you've now just failed. You didn't pull up the correct amount. The correct amount means fluid, not air. You can't count 1 or 2 mLs if there's air in there that you don't have 1 or 2 mLs. Does that make sense? Now, we're going to have to pull up a flush for before, and we're going to have to pull up a flush after. I show it to them, they hand it back to me. Where am I going to put it? We're going to not just lay it on the table. Okay? So we're going to cap it. So that cap, that's why it's upward. We're not going to use our other hand and hold it. Are you with me? We don't want to, remember, we can't, if we got a needle, we have to one-hand scoop. We can't two-hand it. Okay? So same principle with this. Turn it upside down. Set it in your cap. And just twist it. So that way it's capped, and then you can lay it down. Okay? Once it's capped, I don't want to see you doing like this and twisting it tight. The whole purpose is just to keep from contaminating the tip. So again, after you've shown it and they verified it, turn it upside down and set it in your cap and just push down and give it a twist. And that will lock it on there for you. Are you with me? Now, of course, guess what you're going to be doing? You're going to be like... Never fails. Never fails. You're going to be so nervous you're like this. Okay, I'm sorry. We got to help you get over that fear. Okay, even me standing up here doing it. I mean, I'm telling y'all, I shake a little bit. But if I could just, I'm squeezing the heck out of this thing. I'm putting pressure points on this syringe because I'm shaking. And I'm like, I got to stop shaking. I'm up here in front of you. I ain't scared of nothing. But I'm shaking for whatever reason. Justin's making me nervous. He's staring at me constantly. Okay, so I'm squeezing it. You can see my fingers are blanching. I'm squeezing so hard just so I can get it right there. And then I twist and lay it down. Boom, get my other one, draw it up. Does this help y'all? Yeah. Okay, so we get questions all the time about how do I get air bubbles out? You know, how are they pushing the air bubbles in? So I just told you, hold it up to the light, shake it, flick it, do everything that they're going to do to make sure you're on point before you hand it off for grading. Okay? Cap it, one hand cap. Don't twist it tight. Don't touch the inner plunger. Only touch the round part on the end. No touching the inside. Okay? When you're pushing, you got to be very conscientious not to touch the inside plunger. A lot of people, they might do like this and they get lax and they rest their fingers on it. Don't do it. You can push with your thumb or you can push with a twisty pushing forward motion. But do not touch that inner plunger. Okay? That's a contaminant and you'll fail. Questions? And we'll go in depth as far as how to do the station later, but these are nuances that are critical, and a lot of times these are the what if questions. So we're trying to alleviate some of the stress by understanding the technique. So before you even set up a lab station, just get the technique down. Come up with different amounts to draw up. You know, keep reloading 10 mLs and keep pushing out. Say, okay, they told me to flush with 1 ml. Oh, they told me to flush with 2 mLs. Just keep practicing getting different amounts, and the more you use it, you'll find that that rubber stopper gets floppy, and you might notice more bubbles. Or if you're pulling from a bottle of saline, the more you use that bottle of saline, the more bubbles you're going to get. You know, because the pressure's not in there. Okay, so there's going to be lots of variations. If you find that you're getting more bubbles than you used to and it's really stressing you out, change your bottle and get a brand new syringe. And that's probably your issue. Okay? Yes?
If at some time during the process the white cap was to fall over, just start over again?
No, if I didn't contaminate and my white cap falls off, no. Okay? If it falls off and rolls off the table, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Start over.
Do I have to start over?
Get another cap.
Get another cap. Open another package, take the cap off it, set it down, lock it. I don't have to draw up more if I didn't contaminate. So if you want to start off fresh and you feel like, oh, that's an omen, I got to get rid of this syringe, go for it. Grab you another one. Okay, if it has some syringes will have those plastic containers. You pop the end off, you can slide it in the container. If it had a plastic wrap, if you didn't tear it all the way, you could slide it in that plastic wrap. You know, because these came in a plastic wrap, so if you tear the top and save it, you could slide it in there if you lose your cap. There's lots of ways to get out of it. It's always have a plan B and be thinking about, what if this, what's my next step? What would I do? Okay? So you do have that option to start over, but if you don't want to, there's ways to get out of it. That's a good question. Anybody else have any other questions about just the little tips about the push? He gets an A for the day. All right. Good deal.